Hi, my name is Helen. And yes, I am a woman. Welcome to my podcast, a podcast with scary stories I have written. But I have chosen to record it with an AI voice, and if you ever heard mine, you know why. Are you ready? I hope you locked your doors, checked under your bed, and turned the lights off. Because now it's time for frightful fiction. Do you dare to listen? Emmy rushes down the stairs, her heart pounding as her thoughts race. She had just spoken to Jonathan on the phone, and the knot in her stomach grows tighter with every hurried step. Benny is dead, killed by a car after following Yolanda onto a highway, but Emmy can't piece it together. It can't be Yolanda behind everything that has happened, it must be Marty, or was it, as Emmy initially suspected, that both of them were working together to terrify the group into believing in the supernatural. Reaching the bottom of the stairs, Emmy makes a sharp turn left, her eyes frantically searching for someone, for anyone. She sees Linda sitting on the gray couch in the living room, engrossed in her phone. "Where are William and Dennis?" Emmy asked, her breath coming in short gasps. "They're out with Frankie. It was time for his walk. Why do you wonder?" "You look." Linda begins, but Emmy cuts her off. "When did they leave, and where were they going?" Emmy demanded. "Why do you want to know? Did you want to go with them?" "It's a nice crisp autumn evening. I was tempted to join them too, but I decided to stay here," Linda said, oblivious to Emmy's urgency. "No, something's happened, someone from the hike, It's serious. But I'll explain when everyone's here." "So, when did they leave, so I know when they'll be back?" Emmy asked again. "They left about 20 minutes ago. I know because I'm watching a TV series on my phone and I've almost finished an episode. It's a great show about motherhood, called..." Linda starts, but Emmy interrupts. "I don't care about your series right now," Emmy said, not caring that Linda looks offended by her harsh tone. The front door opens and Frankie enters with Emmy's two brothers right behind him. A cold gust of wind follows them inside. Jonathan called. "Benny is dead. He was hit by a truck when Yolanda tried to lure him into a wooded area near where they live. She was standing in the ditch when the truck killed Benny. Then she disappeared," Emmy said, surprised at how calm she sounds. "What? Oh my God, what the hell? She's insane. What's her damn problem? She should know better than to let someone like Benny wander near the road. But, did this happen now, like right now?" Dennis stammered. "No, but I don't know exactly when. Jonathan called me after leaving the hospital. He'd been there for a while, talking to the police, and saying goodbye to Benny, and he's on his way here now. We need to stick together, because both Marty and Yolanda are complete psychopaths," Emmy said, looking down at the floor. Her eyes glaze over with a film of tears she doesn't want to show. "Okay, so, it happened a while ago then, not now," Dennis said, his lips moving in a tense, anxious gesture. "What difference does it make when exactly it happened?" Emmy asked. "Yolanda just texted me, right before we came back in. She wrote, 'See you soon,'" Dennis said, his face growing pale with fear. Frankie barks playfully and runs to fetch a ball, or rather, what's left of one. His tail wags energetically, completely unaware of the fear and sorrow gripping his humans. William sits down on the couch beside Linda. Dennis sits on the floor, facing his older brother. "I can't believe Benny is dead. It feels almost like a child has died. He was kind of like a child. How could Yolanda do that? It should be considered murder, luring a mentally handicapped person onto a road like that. But, let's go over everything, because I don't really understand what happened. We went on a fairly popular ghost-themed hike, run by Yolanda and Marty, just like many others have over the years. But they decided to mess with us specifically. Why us? Us, Jonathan, and Benny. Have they done anything to Sandra and Peter? Didn't you talk to them earlier, Emmy?" William asked. "Right," Emmy thinks, how could she forget? The conversation with Sandra. She had tried to reach Sandra twice that evening without success. But Sandra had called back just before the dreadful call from Jonathan. What she had said had slipped Emmy's mind after Jonathan's call. "Yes, I talked to Sandra, nothing strange has happened to them, but a colleague of Sandra's called her earlier about a suspicious find in the woods, near where we were. Someone called the police thinking they found human remains. Sandra and I debated if it could be another dead animal. Marty buried the one we saw, according to Yolanda, and we didn't see it on the way back, so maybe they had found another animal that was killed in the same manner," Emmy said with a sigh. "But whatever it was that the person saw, there were torn clothes nearby, just like what we saw. The person also claimed that the remains had some of those torn clothes on them, which is really weird, because animals don't wear clothes. Sandra is supposed to call me back when she gets more info from her colleague. Emmy explained. The TV suddenly turns on at a deafening volume, causing Emmy to jump. Linda quickly digs out the remote she was apparently sitting on and turns it off. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was sitting on the remote. If I had known, I would have moved it to the table. That was clumsy of me," Linda said in her usual overly apologetic manner. Emmy wishes Linda would leave. She's not involved in anything that's happened, and in this tense situation, Emmy finds Linda particularly annoying. William pats Linda as if to show everything's okay, but it's not, at least not to Emmy. Her phone vibrates in her pocket, and at the same time Linda's phone dings. The group chat, Emmy thinks. Linda has become friends with Emmy's friends, so they're both in the same group chat. This means Linda has seen the nude photo of Emmy and Ricky. Emmy wonders how long it will take before Blabbermouth Linda accidentally mentions it in front of William and Dennis. She shoots Linda a harsh look, a warning not to say anything about the group chat. Their phones ding again. "Oh, our group chat is buzzing again. They're not saying anything important, just venting about their day. You know how it is, idle gossip about nothing at all," Linda explained, as if the group needed an explanation for something as innocent as friends chatting. Emmy thought it best that Linda never commit a crime. She'd confess everything immediately during questioning because she's that much of an oversharer. The tension in the room is palpable, and Emmy's thoughts race as she tries to make sense of everything that has happened. Emmy sighs and looks at the notifications on her phone. It's Ricky, and he's furious about the photo being shared in the chat. This isn't just normal anger, these are serious threats, violent threats directed at Idiot Lucas, who both took and shared the picture. But Emmy doesn't have time to deal with that right now. She looks at her brothers and Linda. They have more pressing matters to handle than this childish group chat. She sees the three of them, and it seems like they all grasp the gravity of the situation. But then another ping comes from the chat. Linda has written something. Jesus, Emmy thinks, she is so annoying. The person who called the police probably saw another animal someone tried to skin, and for some reason, this animal killer leaves their clothes by each dead animal. Maybe because they get so bloody, William said calmly. We'll see what Sandra says when she calls back. But, we need to come up with a plan to deal with Yolanda and Marty, Emmy said. What did the police say about them? William asked. Which police? Emmy responded. The ones Jonathan spoke to. I assume he told them that Yolanda lured Benny, William said, gesturing with his hands. Oh, right. Jonathan said the police is going to question Yolanda about it. Emmy said. Good. If we all stay alert and none of us goes out alone, we should be safe here. It's not as easy to lure us away now, we know to be careful. And soon, Jonathan will be here, so we'll all be together. It seems like the psychos are leaving Sandra and Peter alone, maybe because Sandra's a cop. How about we order some pizza? I'm starving, William suggested. Everyone nods. Pizza sounds fantastic to Emmy. She loves it. The doorbell rings, and Emmy's phone pings. She opens the app for their surveillance camera system, which she's logged into, to keep an eye on things. With a quick tap on her phone, she can view any of the cameras. There are 2 indoors, one in the living room and one in the hallway. There are also 2 outside, one by the front door and one in the backyard. The backyard camera has a motion sensor and sends a notification whenever something moves there. It will detect any sort of movement, like if a spider spins its web near the camera it will send a warning, which Emmy's dad had complained about because it happened twice when he wasn't home to remove the spider. So, William had to do it to keep the camera functioning, because Dennis refused, due to his fear of heights. The front camera only sends a notification when someone rings the doorbell. A motion sensor there would be pointless since it captures a bit of the street near their property line, and it would be annoying to get a ping every time Mrs. Doon goes to the store, Emmy's dad thought. Emmy looks at her screen. She sees Jonathan standing on their porch. She quickly goes to the front door and opens it, tears welling in her eyes. She steps aside to let him in. What should she say? What should she do? Should she hug him? She does. She hugs him tightly. I'm so sorry about your brother. I can't even imagine what you're going through, Emmy said. Jonathan returns her hug. I can't believe he's dead, he said, his voice trembling. It's okay if you need to cry. You can cry as much as you need. Emmy reassured him, sensing he might feel uncomfortable about it. I don't need to cry, not now. I'm so damn angry it feels like my heart's going to explode, so I don't need to cry. I need to kill Yolanda, that's how I feel, Jonathan said, releasing Emmy from the hug. Emmy had let Jonathan decide the length of the hug. She had read somewhere that you should never be the one to end a hug with a child or someone who is grieving. Jonathan takes her hand, and they walk into the living room where the others are. Emmy's brothers wave to Jonathan and lower their heads in a gesture of grief. Linda approaches, and Emmy tenses, bracing herself for whatever tactless comment might come out of Linda's mouth. Hi. I'm so sorry for your loss. We met briefly earlier when I came to the forest to act as a driver. It's all so crazy what's happened. I hope the police catch both Yolanda and Marty as soon as possible, Linda said, and Emmy relaxes. That wasn't as bad as it could have been, considering it was Linda speaking. Yeah, I'm really sorry too. Benny was a great guy, Dennis added. Yes, may he rest in peace. I'm sorry for your loss, William said, still looking down. Jonathan nods in response and looks away, staring into a corner of the room. Emmy takes him by the hand and leads him away from the living room, sparing him from having to be social right now. They head up the stairs to her room. I thought we could sleep here, unless you want your own room. We have plenty of bedrooms, Emmy said, looking at him. Of course, I'll sleep here with you. I came here for you. I don't want to be away from you until I know Yolanda and Marty can't hurt you, Jonathan said, resting his forehead against Emmy's. Good, because I lied. We don't have any spare bedrooms, Emmy admitted. William, the eldest, moved out first, and a few years later, their father converted his room into a home office. So, William and Linda will sleep in their father's room tonight, Dennis in his own since he still lives at home, leaving only Emmy's room. The wind howls outside, creating a cozy atmosphere in an otherwise horrible situation. Emmy lies down on her bed, and Jonathan joins her. She fits perfectly in his arms, her head resting on his shoulder. He kisses her forehead. Apart from the wind, it's quiet. Emmy has never found anyone she feels so comfortable being silent with. She looks at Jonathan, and he looks back at her. His phone vibrates in his pocket. He sits up and answers it. Yes, this is he. What? Dead. Are you sure? That's impossible. I saw her. Yes, I know it was dark. But I know it was Yolanda I saw. No, I'm not mistaken. Okay, fine, yeah, we will, goodbye, Jonathan said. Emmy feels confused. Is Yolanda dead? Or did she misinterpret the conversation? Jonathan turns to her. It was the police. They found Yolanda dead in her apartment. She's been dead long enough that it couldn't have been her who lured Benny. The police think I made a mistake, that it was someone else, but I know what I saw. It was Yolanda. I feel so confused, Jonathan said, covering his face with his hands. Could it have been Marty, who, I don't know, dressed up as Yolanda? It must have been someone pretending to be her, and he's the only one connected to both us and Yolanda, and someone has her phone. My brother Dennis got a text from it earlier, when you called me, and Dennis talked to her earlier tonight, so she must have died after talking to Dennis but before the text, because by then she was already dead according to the police. It must be the killer who has her phone, Emmy speculated. It really looked like Yolanda, but it apparently couldn't have been her, Jonathan said, lying down again. Emmy snuggles close to him. We need to call the police tomorrow and report Marty. He's a sick psychopath, Emmy said. Her phone vibrates in her pocket, and she sits up. It's Sandra, calling via video. Hey Sandra, you're on speaker with me and Jonathan. So much has happened. I don't even know where to start, Emmy said, taking a deep breath. Yolanda was found dead a little while ago, and Benny is dead. He was hit by a truck after someone who looked like Yolanda lured him out. It was probably Marty who did it, because when it happened, Yolanda was already dead, and the murderer, who must be Marty, has Yolanda's phone because it texted Dennis after Yolanda died, Emmy explained. Oh no, not Benny, that's awful. I'm so sorry for your loss, Jonathan. It's devastating when someone close to you dies prematurely, Sandra said, and Emmy knows Sandra understands this all too well. She continues. But no, it wasn't Marty who did it. What I'm about to tell you, it's going to sound completely twisted, and you'll have a hard time believing it. But, it's best that everyone hears this. Where are William and Dennis? Sandra's husband Peter appears on the screen, glaring at them. He looks completely shattered. He looks like he's seen a ghost. They're downstairs with Linda, William's girlfriend, Emmy said. Go get them, Everyone needs to hear this now, Sandra insisted. Emmy and Jonathan head downstairs, only to find Linda sitting alone. Where are my brothers? Emmy asked. They took Frankie out for a walk again. He started acting strange, scratching at the door, so we thought he might need to go for another walk. He gets an upset stomach sometimes, maybe from eating something he shouldn't, Linda explained. Emmy looks at Sandra on her phone's screen. As you might have heard, William and Dennis are out for a walk. Can you please tell us what's going on? Okay, don't panic now. Remember that body in the woods, the one someone called the police about? It turned out to be the remains of a human. And my colleagues are pretty sure it's Marty, because the body is male and had his ID on him. The face is intact, and they recognize him from the recently renewed ID. So, there's no doubt that the man on the ID is the dead man in the forest. They'll confirm the identity for sure, given what I told them, because the body has been dead for over a day. Which means, if the dead man is Marty, then who the hell were we with on the hike? Sandra said, her voice tense. How sure are the police about the time of death? Emmy asked. There are always margins of error with these things, but not by an entire day. Sandra replied. I need to get hold of William and Dennis. I'll call you back soon, Emmy said. Sandra nods, and Emmy ends the call. With trembling hands she first calls William, who doesn't answer, and then Dennis, who declines her call. She calls again, and Dennis hangs up on her. Damn it, she thinks. Answer, you idiots. She calls once more, and this time a hysterical Dennis picks up. He's gone. Frankie got away. We can't find him. Emmy, has he returned home? Dennis yelled. What? No. I don't think so. I would have seen it on my phone. I've set it up to get notifications, and the camera in the back detects movement. So he's not here, at least according to the camera. But wait, I'll check for myself. Emmy said, looking out through the glass doors of the patio. Frankie usually enters from the backyard when he's been out. Emmy turns on the outside lights but sees no sign of him. Dennis, a human body was found in the woods where we were, and the police think it's Marty, and he's been dead for over a day. Emmy said. What? But who the hell were we with then, in the forest? And if it wasn't Marty, why did Yolanda think it was? Dennis asked, bewildered. I don't know, but can you hurry home? Go to the dog park by the yellow kiosk. Frankie loves that park. I'll go out and whistle for him out here. He always comes when we whistle. Emmy said. Yeah, I know. We'll talk later. I need to keep the line open in case William calls. Dennis said. What the hell? You didn't split up, did you? Emmy asked, unable to hide her irritation. Yes, we had to increase our chances of finding Frankie. We'll see you soon. Bye, Dennis said. The call ends. Emmy fumbles to the couch. She needs to sit for a moment. Her legs feel weak and shaky. Anxiety grips her, like it's strangling her from the inside. She allows herself to sit for a brief moment and takes a few deep breaths. Breathe in a square, she thinks. With a determined motion, she stands up and goes to the patio door and opens it. She steps into the backyard. Jonathan follows her. Hey, I need to use the bathroom, where is it? He asked. I can show you, Linda said, briefly, for once. Emmy steps onto the lawn. It's cold, so cold that each breath she exhales creates a visible mist. Emmy whistles and calls for Frankie. She scans the far end of the yard, where it borders a small patch of forest. But no Frankie. Emmy whistles again. She hears something beyond the yard. She calls for him and whistles. Then she sees the outline of a dog. It's Frankie. He's wearing his bright orange collar. Frankie approaches the yard's edge but then stops as if he hits an invisible wall. He stands perfectly still and barks. He barks and barks but doesn't move an inch. It looks very strange. His barks go from playful to angry, to furious. Then to whimpering. But he doesn't move. His mouth is open and his tongue is out, but no movement. How is that even possible? Emmy doesn't understand. Then her phone rings. It's Dennis. Frankie is home. I'm looking at him and I'm about to go get him. He isn't moving, so I think I can catch him, Emmy said. She looks at the dog as he stands up on his two hind legs and disappears into the darkness. Dennis answers his sister. That's impossible. We found Frankie, and he's dead.